My wife said, "Your family drama isn't my problem." When my dad was fighting cancer, she ignored my calls for a month. But when her father got arrested, she begged me for help. I gave her the same words back and walked away while she called me heartless. I'm 34, and I honestly believe my wife and I had a bond that nothing could break. We'd been through little arguments and everyday challenges like any couple, but nothing that ever made me question whether we truly had each other's backs. I thought we were a team, no matter what life threw at us. Life decided to test that belief in a way I never saw coming. My mom passed away years ago, and since then, my dad has been living alone. He's a proud, independent man, the kind who doesn't like to bother anyone with his problems. But when I got the call from his doctor, I knew this wasn't something he could face alone. The diagnosis was cancer. My father needed multiple hospital visits, treatments, and someone physically present to help him through the day-to-day struggles. I'm his only child. The moment I heard the words, "Your father has cancer," there wasn't even a question in my mind. I was going to be there. Not just because he's my dad, but because it's what you do for family. You show up. That evening, I sat my wife down in our living room and told her everything. I explained the diagnosis, the treatments, the likely impact on my schedule. I thought she'd respond with concern, maybe ask how she could help, or even suggest we find ways to balance our lives so I could be there for him. Instead, she barely looked up from her phone. When I finished talking, she didn't ask how my father was feeling. She didn't ask what the doctors said. She didn't ask what we could do. Her face stayed flat, her voice cold, and the first words out of her mouth were, "Your family drama isn't my problem." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard her. I even asked, "What did you say?" thinking maybe she meant something different. But no, she repeated it exactly the same way, only slower, like I was hard of hearing. I can't explain the feeling in that moment. It wasn't just disappointment. It was like discovering a crack in the foundation of a house you thought was solid. A crack that had probably been there all along, hidden beneath layers of paint and good days, just waiting for the right pressure to show itself. I tried to keep my voice calm. I told her this wasn't drama. This was my father's life. I told her I wasn't asking her to take on my responsibilities, but I hoped she'd understand why I needed to be there for him. She just shrugged and said she didn't want my family's problems spilling into her life. That night, I lay in bed next to her, staring at the ceiling, realizing how differently we saw the world. I didn't say much after that, but in my head, a thought kept circling. If our roles were reversed, I'd be there for her without a second thought. At the time, I told myself maybe she just didn't know how to handle serious situations. Maybe she'd come around once she saw the reality of what I was dealing with. I had no idea that this was just the beginning, and that in the months to come, her reaction to my father's illness would change the way I saw her forever. Her words stayed in my head for days. "Your family drama isn't my problem." I tried to shake it off, telling myself that maybe she'd just been caught off guard. But the more time passed, the clearer it became that she wasn't going to change her stance. I packed a small bag and drove to my dad's place. It wasn't far, but I knew I'd be spending most nights there for the foreseeable future. He was trying to act strong, cracking little jokes about beating the system, but I could see the fatigue in his face. Between hospital visits, meal prep, and just keeping his spirits up, I barely had time to think about anything else. At first, I made a point to keep my wife in the loop. I'd call in the evenings, send her updates, even try to talk about completely unrelated things so we wouldn't drift apart. But more often than not, my calls went unanswered. My texts got one-word replies, if she replied at all. 2 weeks in, she stopped picking up entirely. No explanation, no, "I'm busy," just silence. I started wondering if I had done something else to upset her, but every time I thought about it, I came back to that conversation in the living room. She'd already made it clear she didn't see this as her problem. One afternoon, after yet another round of chemo with my dad, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. No greeting, no warmth, just, "When you're done with your father, come home. Otherwise, don't call me again." I read it 3 times. The first time, I thought maybe she meant it sarcastically. The second time, I realized she was dead serious. The third time, I just felt this dull, heavy finality in my chest. I didn't argue. I didn't send a long explanation. I just typed back, "Okay, enjoy your life." And that was it. I put my phone down and went back to making dinner for my dad. That was the moment I truly understood her priorities. It wasn't that she didn't like hospitals, or that she was bad at dealing with illness. It was that if something didn't directly benefit her, it wasn't worth her time. The next month passed without a single word between us. No calls, no texts, no visits. She didn't ask how my dad was doing, and I didn't ask what she was up to. It was like we were 2 strangers who just happened to be married on paper. Somewhere deep down, I think I already knew that when life handed her a crisis of her own, she'd expect me to drop everything and be there. I just didn't know how soon that moment was going to come, or how much her reaction would show me exactly who she was. It happened on a Thursday evening, out of nowhere. My phone lit up with her name after more than a month of silence. I hesitated before answering. A part of me thought maybe she'd finally decided to talk about what happened. Maybe she was ready to apologize. But the second I picked up, I realized this wasn't that kind of call. She was sobbing, her voice shaking so hard I could barely make out the words at first. Then it came through clear. Her father had been arrested. She didn't explain the details right away, just launched into how scared she was, how she didn't know what to do, and how she needed me to come immediately. For a long moment, I didn't say anything. I was thinking about all those unanswered calls, the texts she ignored, the message telling me not to call her until I was done with my father. And most of all, I thought about how she called my dad's cancer family drama and said it wasn't her problem. Now here she was, expecting me to drop everything for her family crisis. When I didn't respond right away, she got frustrated. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you seriously just sitting there while I'm dealing with this? What is wrong with you? That's when I said it, word for word. Your family drama isn't my problem. Silence. For a few seconds, I actually wondered if the call had dropped. Then she let out this sharp, hurt laugh, like she couldn't believe I'd said it. Wow, so you're just going to be heartless now? After everything? He's my father, she snapped. I almost laughed myself at the hypocrisy. Your father mattered. Mine didn't. That was the difference in her mind. I told her I was with my dad and that he still needed me. Then I ended the call. No yelling. No big speech. Just a click. That night, I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. Honestly, it felt hollow. I didn't want to be the kind of person who turned away when someone needed help, but she had made it clear that this was the standard she wanted in our marriage. Over the next few weeks, I focused on my father. Treatments were hard on him, and my entire energy was wrapped up in making sure he got through it. My wife didn't call again, until 2 months later, when she showed up in person. It was a cold afternoon when she walked into the hospital waiting area. I had just finished talking to my dad's oncologist and was helping him get comfortable in his chair for the next round of treatment. I saw her out of the corner of my eye before she saw me. She was dressed neatly, makeup done, hair perfect, like she wanted to project that she was holding it together. But her eyes told a different story. They were searching the room, scanning every face until they landed on mine. She walked over quickly, almost like she expected me to stand up and greet her. I didn't. She stopped beside me and tried to start a conversation. Asterisk, can we talk? Please. Asterisk. I didn't look at her. I was adjusting my dad's blanket, making sure his water bottle was within reach. Only after a long pause did I speak, and my words were the exact mirror of hers from months earlier. I don't care about your father. That's your problem. Solve it your own way. Her face fell. The confident front cracked right there in the middle of the room. She stammered something about how this was different, how she hadn't meant what she said before, how she'd been stressed and didn't know how to react back then. I just kept my attention on my dad. She called me a heartless coward, under her breath before turning and walking out. She never visited my father once during his entire treatment, but the moment her own family was in trouble, she came looking for help. I didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me argue, yell, or try to justify myself. I just gave her exactly what she had given me. Nothing. I've replayed this whole thing in my head, wondering if I could have handled it differently. But the truth is, this wasn't about one bad argument. It was about realizing that when life gets hard, some people show you who they really are. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. We've been living separately ever since. She hasn't called again. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I do know one thing. If a marriage can't survive a moment where you need each other the most, it was never as strong as you thought. So here's my question to anyone reading this. Was I wrong to give her the exact treatment she gave me, or was it simply fair? I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.